Started as a limited time slot here. So my name is Geoff Bishop. I'm Director of Mobile Products at PBS. Like the title of the talk is, we've been doing some experiments in responsive design. And before I launch into it, the first thing I want to do is actually show you what we can do. This So for the past 3 to 6 months, we've been working on, like I said, a responsive design for PBS. Today, we're actually, as of yesterday, we're in full public beta now, so we're starting to take real traffic. All the Google juice and indexing's on. We have now redirecting from our desktop experience to our mobile experience. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. But, and you can see here when you first start, we've really turned on its head how we approach, how we present our content to users. We're going with a real content first step approach. So here, go to the experience. The first thing you see is a video poster image here for our latest Masterpiece episode. And you know, it's always tough to do mobile demos, responsive design demos on the desktop. You actually don't get the true interaction of actually touching and interacting. And just to show you really quick, we have the content reflows that you do get with responsive design. So we do some adjustments. We move to 2 columns as we get bigger. I think we're like at probably about a Kindle breakpoint at this point, all the way out to 1024 that we see here. We may have lost Wi-Fi, so luckily I've preloaded some other screens. We've taken a stab at, again, doing long lists of program content. I preloaded here. This is a topic view of all of our videos by topic. We're experimenting with tab loading. See how the internet's behaving here. It's not behaving, that's okay. Drop down search box. Again, this is, right now I can't bring up the current desktop video.pbs.org, but it's one of the biggest changes in the overall user experience that we've done in probably since the Code portal launched 3 or 4 years ago, so we're all really excited. So again, really quick, a little bit about PBS. You probably know a lot of our big brands here, Nova, Frontline, Masterpiece, Downton Abbey's obviously been huge. And where we were about 4 months ago, we had 3 apps in the iOS, the iTunes App Store. We did a whole bunch of screens. We're starting to catch up to the desktop in the total number of hours that we're streaming. So there's a lot of growth there. So the problem we saw and why we arrived at responsive design, we were really underserving all of our users on non-OS platforms. So we're public media, a lack of resources and ability to really maximize reach is a real problem for us. So we really wanted to find a platform that potentially solve the problem of serving video to the most amount of people as possible. And we saw that responsive design as a solution. And you know, this is some data. The first 2 here, the first one is an OPA survey that was funded in June, and then this other MDG-based survey that was, I think, published a couple of months ago I saw on Mashable. As it relates to people wanting to consume entertainment, watching videos, there's a really strong preference and move toward people using the web over apps while they're consuming this. I think a lot of that has to do with social media, the ability, whether you're in Facebook or Twitter, to be 1 click away from watching a video on a website as opposed to having to go through the app download process. And just some general preferences, of course. This data is great, but then you have Mark Zuckerberg, I think this last week, went out and said how Facebook wasted 2 years investing in HTML5. So we know this argument goes back and forth, and it isn't a one-size-fits-all. And what we saw as well, we had, even though we have iOS offerings, we had countless amount of people coming back to the website on mobile Safari onto our video portal where we only had a Flash Player-based solution. with no HTML5 fallback, but they kept coming. We surfaced overlays saying go download our app in the App Store, but there was still a large percentage of people, and it's actually growing, that don't want to download apps, that they want to be able to interface with the web, because that's their preference. Okay, so really quick, our project goals, we wanted to be the first to market with full-length video on the mobile web. Obviously, Vimeo, YouTube, there's been a lot of players there that have been doing that video, but not feature length. And another drum that I beat constantly is we need to be fast and we need to be performant. There's so many experiences out there that suffer from slow page loads, and they work great on a Wi-Fi connection, but all that falls off as soon as you hop on an edge network or you have connectivity problems. So those were the two main goals. And the plan was, first, was to do a little sleight of hand to convince the organization first that, look, we're just building this mobile website. We're not trying to boil the ocean. We're not trying to redesign everything at once. So, you know, we looked at some of the strategies, like, for example, the Boston Globe, like the big story. You know, they did a big blow-up, new business strategy aligned with this big thing, and it was a huge organizational pull to do it. Now, we still had to get a lot of people on board, but the idea is we want to start small and then grow it out. We want to take responsive concepts and building responsive templates and go from the inside out as opposed to blowing up the whole thing at once. Right, so starting with that smartphone and tablet breakpoints, and really training designers and developers as we go. We didn't have access to expert developers and designers that had done responsive sites before, so a couple people went to conferences. We had a pile of great articles on how to do it. We had a couple of great partners to help us bring some skill sets that we were missing to the table. And yeah, so deal with the desktop later. Right, so some challenges. So we have our dev team is time shifted from design team, and again, referencing the Boston Globe example, they were all up there in Boston, all in one room doing it. Now we had to re-envision video consumption in this responsive context with people everywhere. So we had non-existent skill sets, we had time-shifted development resources, so it was a big challenge. Oh yes, and then the hand-waving product manager here saying, performance, this new thing, we got to do responsive. So there were some challenges when we started. So as you can see, we're in public beta today, and at basically phase 0 at ground zero. Back to the previous slide, we want to be performant. We wanted to compete with the Vimeos and the YouTube on the performance side. So you can see here, this is a graph of the last month. By the way, this is we've been using New Relic. I'm not sure how many people have used New Relic, but it has been, yeah, it's awesome. So we've been using that to really to keep our fingers on the heartbeat of how our app is responding as we're slowly kind of rolling out these features and slowly turning up traffic. So this is the profile of the last month. You can see the throughput going up. When we released this experience, we only slowly turned on redirects, really doing a lot of traffic shaping to try to slowly turn up the dial to incrementally get more users as time went on. This other really interesting bar is the average response time, the end user response time, which is the product backlog is filled now with improvements and enhancements to the overall experience to bring that bar down. And you'll see why we need to invest in that more later. Right, so load increase. So this is, again, as we're turning up load over time, this is a view of all of the individual views in our apps. Our video view, which is the top blue line there, it's the hardest, it's the heaviest. This is the page where we make most of our asynchronous calls to our various APIs to get all of the video metadata to get ready to play the video. And it's one of our slowest pages. Now you see we did a release yesterday for our public beta where we had a lot of improvements, so that line going down is a great start. But we have some work left to do. This is an AppDex, a kind of a happiness index, which we look at as well. You get a kind of a breakdown of satisfied users, tolerable, and then our frustrated user base. And this is a look at the view at each individual page. whether your user's viewing a video, looking at a program page. So this is another gauge. And again, as of yesterday, the fact that we're peaking, starting to peak up now that we're out in the public, we hope that trend line continues. This is something we have a very keen eye on. This is an index and basically puts us into a ranking against all of our publishers. So I think this is a group of 60 publishers doing some kind of publishing, mix of video and traditional publishing. Server response time, we've steadily improved over time, and we're actually peaking up into about the 60th percentile as compared, which is great. But the most important thing is that end user experience. So great, your servers are fast, but how is your actual experience? How long is your page taking to render on the various networks that people are consuming your content on? And this, as we've been adding more features and trying to reach that minimum experience to support video playback for the widest amount of folks, our ranking is actually, man, we're down there at 25th percentile. So this is actually the most work that I see for us to do. There's deeper charts here about time you spend in DOM processing. Again, those, because this is a measure of that total page load. Basically, we render ready to support that user's next action. So we have work to do here. So for anyone getting into the responsive design business, I mean, New Relic is a great tool, but always measure as your app is growing, what is that true end user experience? Because we test and do a lot of our demos on Wi-Fi, on desktop browsers, and this is, again, a great tool. So other headaches, yeah, ads. So any talk or article you read about advertising, it's hard. I mean, static ad units are inherently non-responsive. They're an image. Ad servers aren't up to speed on even understanding what content reflow is. So there is hope. I know there's, right now, anyone doing responsive design that's ad supported is working, either doing a custom solution. I've recently come across responsive ads, and they're doing some interesting stuff. So anyone looking for help that may be experiencing this challenge, I'd recommend you reach out to them. Oh yes, this is our old desktop site. So this is the thing, again, our next challenge in the bucket. So again, we started small. We said we're just going to build this mobile website. Right now, our desktop user agents, desktop users still get our old desktop experience. It's been about 3 years without a design. So now the next challenge organizationally and product-wise is to how do we consume the desktop experience and make our responsive site truly responsive, and not only serve a touch-based experience, but a mouse-based experience. Responsive design, right for me. Yeah, so I don't, based on our experience, I think starting a brand new project and not trying to, again, boil the ocean as a redesign really worked for us. Yeah, so the salesmanship, you have to constantly sell, not just selling the organization once, but you need to constantly sell all of the stakeholders involved that this is the right direction, and again, communicating why you're doing this and tying what you're doing toward true value. And in our case, which was just maximizing that reach, is really important. But in the end, I'm not here saying that responsive design is right for everybody. It worked for us based on our goals, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. I really recommend later, there's a talk going on in Dome Theater at 1. Dave Ackerman, Modus Create, is going to be talking and actually diving into some code examples that we're not going to have time to go through here. So I highly recommend checking that out. So we have about 1 minute. Do I have one question? I'd love to, thought I had more time, I'd love to have one question, 2 questions. Anyone have any questions? 15 minutes. It was quick, wasn't it?
What was your biggest challenge with devices? So you got to use
devices,
detecting devices, which ones direct to the full website, which ones go to this site?
Yeah, so our operations team really love us. No. So yeah, we went down the route of doing user agent detection, and we also we're not only launching a national portal site, we're actually launching 100 individual station portal sites. It's all built off our same app stack. We're having to serve a lot of different audiences. That's been the biggest challenge from an operations side, is maintaining those user agents and correctly routing that user to the right experience. Video playback is also another big story, because just because we correctly routed to someone based on their mobile versus non-mobile user agent, delivering them the right video encoding file, that's a whole different ball of wax. Great. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.